We open with a pursuit, a foot pursuit, you know, a hitman who's just a little bit past his prime, not quite keeping up, not quite making it to, you know, to his target, and things just aren't going quite the way that they should go. He takes care of things, but it's not in the traditional way, and I think it'll be a lot of fun because it kind of gives you background and a context in which to put the characters, because these characters they're killers. You know, they're not your traditional heroes. They're people with consciences and real people. They're not villains, but they're not good people by any traditional moralistic viewpoint. They're not good people. They're killers
who are hired by the very powerful. We're talking about the entrenched power, which has existed for so long. I mean, if you go back through American history, there are names that everyone knows that have been in power for decades and decades, and in some cases more than a century at a time. You know, there's Rockefellers, there's Carnegies, and then of course there's political names that everyone knows. I mean, Bush and Kennedy, those are both essentially like dynastic names at this point, where if you have that name, you're either in power through politics or you're going to be in power through some other form, you know, whether it be business or influence of some other variety. So the idea is, what if powerful interests now have the ability to ensure that they always stay in power through this technology, this remote killing ability?
It's not the kind of story that Hollywood is necessarily going to tell you. So it's exciting to kind of get that background and understand these aren't your typical storybook heroes. These aren't your typical even action movie heroes. They're real people who have done some bad things, but maybe they're not cool with it, and maybe they have they're ready to change. They're ready for things to change, and that's what this film's about, is that change. This film it's about a conscience.
So the inspiration of the script came from headlines about local police departments across the nation buying drone technology, essentially predator drones that are not armed. But the idea came about, well, what if it went a step farther? What if you were maybe just, you know, essentially a day in the future? You know, just a little farther ahead in the future, what would the next level of technology be? And that's where I came up with the idea of, well, satellites. Essentially taking the drone out of the picture and just moving it to simply a person at a laptop pushing a button and the target dies. And so what they're doing is they're stifling innovation and new ideas, new technologies, anything that might rise up and essentially threaten their stock position or their market dominance. And so what you get then in the story is the team of the killers that actually do their bidding. And the crux or the conflict that arrives, that drives the storyline is, okay, so if you have this secret cabal of killers that can kill with the push of a button, what happens when one of them grows a conscience? And that's really the story of Market Correction, is things fall apart.
If it's about anything, it's about one man's conscience. And, you know, maybe if you're going to kill people, you should have to get a little bit of blood on your hands. We formed Low Fidelity Productions in 2001 to shoot a film called Injustice, which was a lot of fun. It was a great experience, met a lot of really cool people, hooked up with some other really talented filmmakers and actors. I worked on a documentary called Crapshoot a few years back, which was an exciting experience. We got to talk to a lot of people on the fringes of filmmaking and out in Hollywood and see, you know, here are all of these people that aren't big stars, but they're surviving in the film industry. Was kind of an interesting experience.
We've got a unique voice, and I think that it's a good, fast-paced thriller with three-dimensional, sympathetic characters, even though they're doing unsympathetic things. And I think that making a donation, supporting this sort of an independent project ensures that what you're going to get is our unfiltered creative vision of it. The director, myself, the actors, everyone involved in it with the exception of bean counting studios that, quite frankly, would rewrite it and recast it and find a new director, and it turned into some sort of a homogenized, unpalatable, boring movie like 90% of the ones that you get out of Hollywood. And so I think that if you're excited about independent film, if you're excited about scripts that offer fresh ideas and fresh voices, then I really think that it's worthwhile to, kick in a few bucks. And, I think that anyone who does that can then not only get the rewards which are offered on the site, but, you're going to get the reward of actually seeing the finished product and a creative, collaborative process that came together because you were willing to help.
Kickstarter's exciting because it's a chance to democratize the process of filmmaking. You're taking away the gatekeepers, and you're actually, anybody can do something that was traditionally forbidden by the people with money. So here we are, kind of taking that back. Nowadays, you can buy a camera and you can raise a crew relatively inexpensively. You don't need $10 million to make a movie, and we're not asking for $10 million. We're asking for just enough money to pay people to come in every day and finish this film. It's so exciting that we actually have the ability now to go to people and say, hey, look at this exciting vision. Check out our trailer. See what we can do with $0. Imagine what we could do with a little bit more money. I think my favorite reward is that we're offering the chance to be killed in our movie. If you donate $1,000 to the cause, we'll bring you on the set and get you up in wardrobe and everything, and you'll be killed by the hitman in our movie. That's pretty cool. You can't get that anywhere.
The first book I wrote was Motor City Shakedown. I published that through Amazon in 2010. Since then, I've written 2 more. There's 3 books in total. And the first one actually, stupendously, really, when you just think about the chances of it actually happening, is, within about 5 months of being published, it got picked up in Hollywood and is being developed at CBS for television. So that's been rewarding. The whole venture of being a self-published, non-traditional author, which maybe most people who don't follow the industry don't realize it, but if you check the New York Times book rankings for bestsellers, you'll see that generally somewhere around 50% of the top 10 bestsellers in the country in ebooks are self-published authors. The entire dynamic is changing, and it's very much like what we're doing here with Kickstarter. It's the same thing. Industries are becoming much more diffuse in the sense where people who consolidated power and held essentially the keys to the portal. If you want to make a movie, you have to go through the studio. If you want to write a book, you have to go to New York and get a publisher to actually agree that yes, you are allowed to write a book, and people can then see it because we say so. Well, times have changed, and that's what Kickstarter is about. That's what the self-publishing revolution is about. Because of my success that I've had with self-publishing and with Amazon and selling these books, when I heard about Kickstarter, that's really what kind of kicked into gear for me. The idea of, well, why not write a screenplay? It's one of the mediums that I've always wanted to write in, and places like Kickstarter and other sites. I know there's other similar ones too out there. This crowdsourcing is going to be liberating for the artistic community. Anyone who's got a vision and a work ethic and the ability to do it, they've got a real shot. They can circumnavigate the often stifling control mechanisms of Hollywood. Which, let's face it, they're not in the business of making art; they're in the business of making money. I'm not against money. I'd love this to make a lot of money. But what we're really about primarily is we're trying to tell the story that we think is the best that we can possibly present, and that's why I really hope that people decide to give a little bit. You get some rewards out of it, and hopefully the biggest reward you get is the participation in a finished product that you can watch at the end of the day.
We could not do this without you. On many levels, filmmaking is a collaborative art. In this case, we're asking you to collaborate on helping us to fund it. But you can't make a film by yourself. One person cannot make a film. It just isn't possible. We require a lot of help from a lot of people, a lot of talented artists, and with a lot of people with voices. And it's interesting to put all of those voices together into this chorus that we're going to call Market Correction.